Our courts extend our laws to meet the needs of today while keeping us rooted in fundamental constitutional rights, creating the foundation for our democracy, economy, and society. (1803) was a very important year for our Constitution and the power of our courts. That was when the landmark case Marbury v. Madison was decided, establishing the principle of judicial review. This meant the Supreme Court could declare a law unconstitutional, strengthening the power of our federal courts in the process. The ability of our courts to rule on important matters is fundamental to our system of government. In Episode 2, we discussed the common law, which is constructed of judicial decisions. These prior decisions, or holdings, are known as precedent. They are the guides for courts when they address new disputes, helping them to apply the rules consistently. The Latin phrase stare decisis means to stand by things decided. Therefore, courts are to stand by their prior rulings unless there is special justification to overrule them. The doctrine of stare decisis gives predictability to our law. As we discussed in Episode 1, a party to a lawsuit, known as a litigant, may appeal their case if they believe a court got things wrong. In our judicial system, we have 3 levels of courts: trial courts, courts of appeals, and at the top of the pyramid is the Supreme Court. Your state will have its own Supreme Court, and then, of course, there is the United States Supreme Court, whose decisions affect the entire country. In the 1950s and 60s, the United States Supreme Court decided a number of crucial cases that enlarged protections and guaranteed rights for more Americans. Chief among these were Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954, which helped to desegregate our schools, and Loving versus Virginia in 1967, which legalized interracial marriage across our country. In 1985, fully 56% of Americans had a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in our Supreme Court, according to researchers at Gallup. However, by 2022, that number had dropped all the way to just 25%. Today, a large majority of young adults, in particular, hold unfavorable views of the Supreme Court. In September 2022, the Pew Research Center found 63% of adults ages 18 to 29 view the Supreme Court unfavorably. Lack of public trust can create a legitimacy crisis for the High Court, according to the Brennan Center for Justice. A bipartisan presidential commission on the Supreme Court of the United States was formed to consider the merits of reform proposals for the court. In December 2021, they issued their final report, examining reforms such as term limits for justices or changing the size of the court. They noted, quote, "The justices of the U.S. Supreme Court are the only members of the federal judiciary who are not covered by a code of conduct," close quote. Judicial codes of conduct are important to ensure judges perform their work ethically, with independence, impartiality, and integrity. The protections built into our judicial system serve us well, whether it is trial judges reviewing jury findings or appellate justices reviewing trial judges' rulings. The judiciary is an integral part of our system of checks and balances, ensuring the executive and legislative branches conduct themselves in accordance with our Constitution. Through the years, our courts have been a beacon of liberty to the world, giving strength to our constitutional order and serving as the bedrock of our democracy. This 3-part video series was made possible by the following sponsors and generous supporters like you. Please share it with your friends and join us at TexasWatchFoundation.org to learn more.